Personally, last week, I was down upwards of $35,000. In just a few weeks, we've seen the US stock market, the Euro markets, the Japanese markets all around the world crashing. The US market's dropping 30% plus in just a matter of weeks. This is one of the most aggressive and devastating sell-offs in market history, and certainly in the last century. Everywhere you look, whether it's news media, whether it's talking to friends, talking to family, it is very, very negative out there, and there's a ton of pessimism around the future. Talks about potential recessions and economic slowdown and financial and medical crisis situations all around the world. This is a time where optimism is scarce and most people are purely in panic and fear mode. So today I'm going to talk a little bit about my own situation as well as some things to think about in this crazy time that we are currently living in. Personally, last week I was down upwards of $35,000. I'm 23 years old. That was half, if not more than half, of my previous job's salary as a software engineer. Absolutely crazy times that we are living in, and some of the volatility is impacting everyone, not just myself, but for me that was a huge trial, and my problems are very minimal compared to some of the craziness that are out there. People are getting laid off from their jobs, people are losing their businesses, people are losing a lot in the markets. It is absolutely a terrifying time for a lot of people. But I believe no matter how dark this situation may seem, that honestly this is potentially our moment of truth, or our, kind of back against the wall sort of situation. Markets everywhere are in panic mode. Things are absolutely just devastating to a lot of people. And I kind of think of this as actually kind of our defining hour. Most people, unfortunately, in this situation are going to get hit hard. Everybody is kind of dealing with tough situations, but a lot of people are going to give up. A lot of people are going to kind of give into this situation and feel hopeless and feel like it's impossible to come back from this situation. But again, I believe this is our defining hour, and these are the sort of moments where the tough continue and the weak give up. Unfortunately, so many people will find themselves unable to bring themselves up, whether they lost their jobs or they lost their house or these situations are serious, and I'm not downplaying the severity of these sort of times. But truthfully, everybody is in a tough situation, and everybody has a choice in how they respond to this situation. During this incredibly challenging time, I have really grown to love and be so thankful for the A1 trading team. For those of you guys who are members inside of our VIP group, I really appreciated being able to kind of discuss some things that were not just, technicals and fundamentals, but rather just concepts about trading. I shared a little bit of my own experience, and I said that, I've bought expensive courses and I've joined signal services and I've paid for mentors, but ultimately it was my own due diligence that built me into the trader that I am today. And that was the kind of mentality that I wanted for the group. And so many people, thank the Lord, rallied behind this concept, and people absolutely were all in on this. And you can see, people positively responded to that inside of the community. RT or Mason says abso-freaking-lutely, right? You've got people saying that you agree, and I value this forum not for the signals, but for the learning and knowledge I've gained by reading, learning, and understanding more about myself as a trader, what my strengths and weaknesses are, and how to improve and to become a better trader. To me, this is priceless, guys. We've had so many people with such positive vibes in response to this tough time. I mentioned, that this is not easy for any of us, and that we can rally together, and that this is not the end, that we've got this. And during these times, it is okay to understand that this is not a fun time. It is painful, but we can get through it. We can push on as a team. And having this kind of A1 trading community has been such a blessing for myself, and I know for a lot of other people who are, struggling to find that consistency in their trading. If someone cannot see the value in this chat room, they need to move on with quickness. I've grown as a trader in my short time here, measurably so. One of the best decisions I've made as a trader so far. To me, this is the value of having a community. It's not to follow signals provided to you just to try and make a quick buck. It's to follow along with insight from more experienced traders and to also learn, like he said, about himself as a trader, his strengths and his weaknesses, and learning that sort of thing. That is so powerful. Hoodie says everyone suddenly went from a trader to a preacher. That's very true. We had some preachy moments this morning. I got up on my podium and I had a little preaching moment, but sometimes you need that, right? And that's why I'm making this video is to show you guys that, it's not always fun being a trader. It's not always fun in life in general. And the strong people usually push on, and the strong people make it through. And you can be that strong person just by toughing this out and finding some reason to hold on to that positivity in your life. Again, most people, the vast majority of people, will give in to the pessimism and will not see what this situation all could be looked at, which I believe this is an opportunity. Again, I say that lightly because last week I was down $35,000 in my personal trading accounts as well as my investing accounts. That is not fun. I run a business which we've had to cut down. We've lost sales. We've had to deal with situations that are not fun, right? And so on the trading and the business side, I've had a tough time, but nowhere near as bad as some other people. And that's why I think it is so important not to recognize this situation and how bad you've got it, but to recognize the things that you do still have. If you have family in your house, that is a luxury that is worth more than any amount of money that you could make from the markets. If you have a job still, that is something to be grateful for. Think about it. A lot of times people complain that they hate their job, but if you have a source of income right now, that is absolutely something to be super thankful that you still have. Even if you don't love it in the short term, it's an amazing situation to still have money coming in when a lot of people are losing their jobs, restaurants are shutting down, things are absolutely dealing with really tough times. So it's an important time, in my opinion, to be thankful for the things that you do have rather than the situations that you're dealing with that are tough. In my own situation, I am so blessed to still have this YouTube channel, to still have my friends and my family and the things that matter most to me, right? Although I've been dealing with some tough trades, I will come out on top, and I believe that there is a light at the end of the tunnel, if you will. And I think that all of this, no matter how pessimistic, now how bad it may seem, this really has the potential to be an amazing opportunity. Maybe not necessarily financially for everybody. If you lost your job or you've blown accounts or you've dealt with an account that is completely obliterated like a lot of people have, then this is another opportunity that might be a little bit different. Of course, there is a monetary opportunity in all of this. As people are forced to sell their 401ks, as currencies become extremely stretched one way or another, I believe that there are trades, there are investments that on the back of this could make people millionaires, right? This is where millionaires a lot of times are born, is in the situation, the darkest hours. Millionaires and the winners in the market, they get tough in this time, whereas most people, they give up. They talk about quitting. They close their accounts. They basically say, this is not for me, this is a waste of time, and they give up and walk away. Whereas people like Warren Buffett, who bought Bank of America in 2008, and in those financial crisis moments, he made millions by being strong when everybody else was being weak. This is an opportunity for people to reset. As the markets crash over 30% in a matter of weeks, that impacts all markets. It impacts the currency market, it impacts the stock markets around the world, as well as the cryptocurrency markets. Everything is just devastated right now, and things are really ugly, I won't lie. But the opportunities that come off of major crashes like this are also immense. There is a chance for people to reset. There's a chance for people to buy stocks low, which is something that I personally plan to be doing, is to be buying this dip as it goes down. If it goes down another 20% in the markets, I will still be buying and adding to my stock positions for the long term. There is opportunity in all of this, and if you have the luxury to be able to invest or to be able to continue to trade or invest, there's some opportunities that will come with this that I think are huge and once in a lifetime opportunities that do not come very often at all. Again, this is the biggest sell-off of the century. That is absolutely incredible to think about, that we are living in that time. People who say, you've never traded during a stock market crash, or you've never traded, I've been trading in the markets for 5 years or so. I have never seen anything remotely as close to this. And even in 2008, we didn't have this severe and this fast of a crash that we are seeing today. This is the moment of truth. This is where traders and investors really get their stripes, if you will. This is where you earn your right to say, I have dealt with some really tough situations. And wearing that as a badge of honor rather than saying how terrible this is going to make the difference in 5 years from now if you can look back and say, I survived that. I got tough and I dealt with this situation and I did what needed to be done. I didn't give up, I didn't quit, I didn't get sad and feel sad for myself. I got tough and I learned to deal with the situation and face it as it is rather than just ignore or quit or give up or just do what most people will do. This is the chance of a lifetime to treat this as an opportunity, not as a devastation to your life, right? So many people are doing that. I hear so many comments on my YouTube channel, through my emails, through my messages, people saying, I'm giving up, this is horrible, I've just lost so much money, this is not for me, I can't continue on. And I understand, it is a tough time. Again, $35,000 for me being down that amount of money, it's not, it's not like it's going to absolutely devastate me if I were to lose that money because, I still was using small positions and that is not, absolutely crucial that I not lose that money, but it's certainly money that I would rather not lose, and it's a very serious situation to be down that kind of money. Everybody is dealing with tough times. If you're a restaurant owner right now, you've probably had to lay off people or at the very least pull back on expectations for profits in the year, and we see companies around the world with their revenues being slashed insane by this, the airlines being completely shut down in a lot of ways, losing a lot of revenue for the expectation for 2020. 2020 is kind of funny, just a few months ago we were talking about how life-changing this would be in the new year and how this was the year for starting over. Well, a couple months in, 3 months in, we are really going to be starting over in terms of a lot of things. As people slowly become getting out of their quarantine situation, things will come back around. This is not the end, and this is a time for human beings as a whole to band together. I will say that one of the coolest things and one of the most motivating things to me in this time is to watch how people are coming together over this. There is a lot of community, and I'm not just talking about in the United States, I'm talking about around the world. People doing their part to make a difference in this situation, to actually help the situation, quarantining themselves and helping out neighbors and friends, and I've seen a lot of it. I've seen a lot of positivity that's not being addressed on the news so much as all the negativity. I'm telling you, in a few years from now, I think we'll look back on this situation and say, wow, there was a lot to learn from this, and there was a lot to gain from understanding some of the community aspects. Every once in a while, it's funny, things have a tendency to bring people together, and these sort of situations, although they are tough and although they are ugly, are a great way to bring people together and to build community around the world. I started this business about a year ago, and I went full-time 6 months or so ago. Which makes this a little bit of a tough time to think that, my timing, at least on starting a business and going full-time as a trader and entrepreneur, may not have been the best, because 6 months in or so, we've had the biggest crash in the last century, something crazy like that. We've seen absolutely insane sell-offs, and we've seen a lot of slowdown economically already, and it's very likely to continue in the near future. But I think still, even in that situation, I've hired a couple employees, I've seen my accounts get tough, and we're not able to use the office nearly as much because of the situation, right? It's still nothing compared to some of the situations out there. And for most of you guys, you can look at your own situation, and if you feel bad for yourself, just think about how much worse it could be, how much worse it is for other people out there who are dealing with even more serious situations. This is not ideal, but this is a bump in the road in the long story of yourself as an investor, or your own story, and in my case, my entrepreneurial and investor side, this is just a bump in the road. And someday I will look back on this and I'll wear that stripe proudly, and I'll know that we made through it, and we made it through this, and this is not going to be the end. You know, truly, I woke up this morning feeling motivated, just knowing that, you know, this is the trial of our time right now. This is what we're dealing with, and you have two options really on how to handle these sort of situations. You can either, you know, get tough or give up, and I've said that a couple different times on my channel, but I think it means more now than ever to really get tough if you want to stay in this game as an investor or as an entrepreneur or just as a person in general. Everybody needs to, you know, the tough people will find ways to take this as an opportunity. Spend time learning, spend time looking into potential long-term investments that might be at discount prices in terms of stock market stuff. And to really just find ways to make this into a positive mindset rather than just be another person who's negative and pessimistic and going to give up and all of that. That just doesn't do you any good as a person. Find a way to be optimistic in all of this, whatever it takes, because there is opportunity. We will come out stronger, and if you know that, you can plan ahead for that, and you can take advantage of these times and you know, potentially earn or even grow as a person from this situation. Finally, I want to say, for those of you guys who are traders specifically, I know a lot of my channel is people who are active in the markets. If you're a trader in this market, then this is a crazy time. You know the volatility is extremely high, and volatility is both a good thing and a bad thing for traders. It's a good thing for short-term traders because you can catch some nice moves, and it's a bad thing because if they go against you, it can be really, really tough. So at this time, as a trader, you know, again, a lot of the same principles apply. This is potentially an opportunity. This is also a time to be more cautious. I'm personally reducing all of my position sizes across the board to diminish the chance of being on the wrong side of trades. I'm working my way out of some tough trades and finding a way to push on and everything and continue to trade the strategies that I have traded. Fortunately, you know, from that $35,000 situation, I've come back, which is a huge relief for me, and to know that, you know, my strategy basically stood the test of time through some incredibly hard situations is a really, really good thing. So to me, that is definitely a positive thing to think about. If you're trading, continue to learn, continue to test, continue to back test, and find ways to look for opportunities in this situation.